One wrong decision, one finger on a button, and everything you know is erased. A flash brighter than 1,000 suns, the air burns, the ground shakes, then silence. Only ash remains. This isn't fiction. This is the reality we face every day. Welcome to Blackbox, where we uncover the world's darkest secrets. The nuclear age began in 1939 when scientists discovered fission, unleashing a destructive force. The U.S. launched the Manhattan Project, and on July 16, 1945, the Trinity test in New Mexico marked its success, a blinding explosion that changed the world. Weeks later, Hiroshima and Nagasaki were devastated, killing over 200,000.
The two atomic bombs dropped on Japan in 1945 killed and maimed hundreds of thousands of people, and their effects are still being felt today. On August 6th and 9th, we commemorate the 72nd anniversary of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These events shaped history and led to significant changes worldwide. Going back in time and understanding what happened on those fateful days, well, on August 6, 1945, at around 8:15 a.m., an atomic bomb called Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima by the United States.
The Soviet Union responded in 1949, sparking the arms race. By the 1960s, the US and USSR had enough warheads to destroy the planet, adopting mutually assured destruction to keep an uneasy peace. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 nearly ended it all. Today, the nuclear threat is more dangerous than ever. 9 nations possess nuclear weapons: the United States, Russia, China, France, the United Kingdom, India, Pakistan, North Korea, and Israel. Though Israel never confirms its arsenal, they hold over 12,000 warheads, enough to annihilate humanity. There are no global rules, just a lawless game of power, secrecy, and mistrust. The tension is suffocating, and new players are emerging, ready to tip the world into chaos. Iran is the focal point of this escalating crisis. Intelligence reports from 2025 warn they're weeks away from having enough enriched uranium for a nuclear bomb. Satellite imagery of Natanz and Fordow reveals underground tunnels, heavily guarded, with centrifuges spinning at an alarming rate. Iran is enriching uranium to near weapons-grade levels, far beyond civilian needs. They claim it's for energy and medical research, but Western intelligence, including the CIA, has intercepted communications tying the program to Iran's military. The Revolutionary Guard oversees key facilities, and scientists work under strict secrecy, fueling fears of a weapon in the making. The United States is racing to respond. Diplomatic talks, set for spring 2025 in Geneva, aim to avert disaster. Publicly, U.S. officials project calm, offering sanctions relief for compliance. But classified briefings paint a darker picture. The U.S. is preparing cyber attacks to disable Iran's nuclear infrastructure, airstrikes on Natanz, or even a military operation as a last resort. Each option risks escalation. Iran could retaliate with ballistic missiles, targeting U.S. bases in the Gulf or Israel, a key ally. Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei vowed in a 2025 speech to defend Iran's sovereignty at all costs, a statement many see as a nuclear threat. Iran knows the U.S. is caught in a bind, using this leverage to push the West to its limits. If Iran goes nuclear, the Middle East could implode. Saudi Arabia, Iran's rival, has made its stance clear. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said in 2024, "If Iran develops a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit."
Concerned, though, Iran gets a nuclear weapon, about them getting a nuclear weapon?
Well, we are concerned of any country getting a nuclear weapon. That's a bad move, and you don't need to get a nuclear weapon because you cannot use it. Even if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, any country use a nuclear weapon, that means they are having a war with the rest of the world. The world cannot see another Hiroshima. If the world see 100,000 people dead, that means you are in a war with the rest of the world. So it's a useless effort to reach a nuclear weapon because you cannot use it. If you use it, you got to have a big fight with the rest of the world.
If they get one, will you?
If they get one, we have to get one.
Saudi Arabia has the resources and rumored ties to Pakistan, a nuclear-armed nation, for technology or warheads. Turkey, too, is on edge. President Erdogan hinted in 2025 at pursuing nuclear capabilities, citing security needs. A nuclear arms race in the Middle East, already a region of proxy wars and instability, would be catastrophic. The US and Israel would face impossible choices: containment, military action, or a new, unstable balance of terror. The US is also managing a broader web of nuclear threats. Russia, with 5,500 warheads, remains a formidable foe. Since the Ukraine war, Putin's nuclear rhetoric has sharpened. In 2024, he warned, "Those who blackmail us with force will face unimaginable consequences." Russia's arsenal includes ICBMs like the Sarmat and hypersonic missiles that evade US defenses. In 2023, Russia suspended the New START treaty, leaving no limits on their nuclear growth. The US has bolstered NATO's eastern flank, deploying missile defenses in Poland, moves Russia calls provocative. A misstep in Ukraine or the Baltics could spiral into a nuclear standoff, reviving Cold War fears without the old rules. China is another rising threat. Their stockpile, now at 500 warheads in 2025, is set to double by 2030 per Pentagon estimates. Satellite imagery shows new silos in the Gobi Desert, signaling Beijing's ambitions. China's DF-41 missile can strike the U.S. mainland, and their 2024 hypersonic tests outpace current defenses. The South China Sea is a flashpoint. U.S. patrols challenge China's claims, leading to near-daily confrontations. In January 2025, a U.S. destroyer and Chinese frigate nearly collided, sparking diplomatic fury. China's no-first-use policy offers little comfort when their actions suggest preparation for conflict. A crisis over Taiwan or trade could turn nuclear fast. North Korea's Kim Jong-un thrives on unpredictability. His arsenal, estimated at 30 to 50 warheads in 2025, grows steadily. Over 20 missile tests in 2024 flew over Japan, landing in the Pacific. In March 2025, Kim unveiled the Pukguksong 5, a submarine-launched missile capable of striking U.S. bases in Guam. State media boasts of final preparations to annihilate imperialists, targeting the U.S. and South Korea. The U.S. has 2,500 troops in South Korea, all within Kim's range. Diplomacy has failed. Sanctions haven't slowed him. If Kim feels cornered by a U.S. buildup or internal dissent, he might strike, with devastating results. Israel operates in secrecy. Its nuclear program a known unknown. The Dimona reactor in the Negev desert is believed to have produced at least 80 warheads, possibly 200 by 2025. Israel's ambiguity, neither confirming nor denying, keeps enemies like Iran on edge. But Iran's progress threatens this strategy. Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, have warned they won't allow Iran to go nuclear, stating in 2025, "We will do whatever it takes." Israel's history of preemptive strikes, like Iraq in 1981, raises fears of a strike on Iran, which could draw in the US, Saudi Arabia, and Russia, Iran's ally. A regional war could turn nuclear in an instant. India and Pakistan, each with around 160 warheads, are locked in a deadly rivalry. The Kashmir dispute fuels tensions. Border clashes are frequent, with a 2024 skirmish killing 40 soldiers. Both nations went on high alert, and the world held its breath. A full-scale war could kill 100 million in a month, per simulations. Soot from the blasts would trigger a nuclear winter, dropping temperatures, collapsing agriculture, and starving millions. The US and China push for de-escalation, but distrust runs deep. A single spark could ignite disaster. France and the UK, with 290 and 225 warheads, are quieter but vigilant. France's submarines patrol the Atlantic, while the UK's Trident system ensures a second strike capability. Both are modernizing. France tested a hypersonic missile in 2024, and the UK raised its warhead cap in 2025, citing global instability. As NATO allies, they align with the US, but their nuclear policies reflect unease about Russia and China. Beyond these nations, shadowy threats emerge. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Turkey have fortified sites where radiation levels spiked in 2025. Isotopes like cesium-137 suggest nuclear activity, yet they deny everything. China and Russia block UN inspectors, shielding their allies. Are they pursuing weapons? Nuclear-capable submarines, possibly Russian or Chinese, patrol uncharted waters, their stealth making them untrackable. A single sub could wipe out a city, and we'd never see it coming. The consequences are unthinkable.
These are the compartments or the tubes that actually house the Trident nuclear missiles. There are 16 of them in total on here, but these days each submarine only carries 8, which are armed with 40 nuclear warheads. Each of those missiles has the destructive power of 8 Hiroshimas, and the captain has to be prepared to fire them.
It's something you can't take command of one of these things and not think about. I've resolved it to myself that when I go to sea, I aim to provide the most credible and invulnerable deterrent that I can, the military aspects of that deterrent policy. If I receive a properly formatted message from the Prime Minister and I'm required to fire, I will. The way I resolve it to myself is an attempt to restore a deterrent posture, and that's what we're always seeking to achieve.
A bomb over New York could kill 1.2 million in 24 hours, per Pentagon models. Heat, radiation, and collapsing infrastructure would claim most lives. Fires would rage, survivors would face radiation sickness, and the economy would collapse within a week. An India-Pakistan war could trigger a nuclear winter, starving billions. Scientists have warned of this for decades, but leaders aren't listening. We've had close calls. Declassified CIA files reveal 5 near launches in the past 20 years. Radar glitches, misinterpreted threats, stopped at the last second. In 1983, Soviet officer Stanislav Petrov saved the world by calling a false alarm. In 2022, radiation spiked over Sweden, likely from a Russian test site. They denied it. A U.S. warhead lost in the Mediterranean in 1966 remains missing, a live bomb for the wrong hands. Rogue elements make it worse. Missing uranium has been traced to black markets. Interpol seized 2 kilograms in Istanbul in 2024, linked to terrorists. Dirty bombs could already be in play. Whistleblowers claim Arctic bunkers hide unclaimed warheads, part of shadow alliances. AI-driven launch systems could misjudge a threat. In 2023, a Russian missile launched and stopped mid-air. They called it a test, but experts disagreed. Satellites with EMP weapons orbit Earth. One blast could cripple a continent's grid, sparking chaos. Nuclear weapons are always on standby. Silos, submarines, space. Leaders, some erratic, hold the power to end us. William Perry, former U.S. Secretary of Defense, warned, "The world is more dangerous than it has ever been, and we are one decision away from irreversible catastrophe." The question isn't if someone presses the button, but when. This was Blackbox. Subscribe because the truth is darker than you think.